Okay, so we're back here at the table again. We've got a couple of new guests here. We've got Donna Marie Forehand. Please go ahead and you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and where you came from.
Okay, well, I came from, first of all, Donna Forehand. Happy to be here. Directed George and Janet Matthews at Symmetry Financial. We have been here since September of 2018, and I am from San Diego, currently living in Virginia.
Right on. And yes, in case anybody was wondering, she did indeed lose a bet, and that's why she's married to me. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and also we've got the Sackmanns. So let's go with Miss Theresa.
Theresa Sackmann. I am from Palm Coast, Florida. I have been in Symmetry for 2.5 years, originally from Seattle, and I am direct to Jamie Satterfield, Scott and Donna Forehand, George and Janet Matthews.
Right on. And Mr. Sackmann.
Bill Sackmann, direct to Theresa Sackmann, Jamie Satterfield, Scott and Donna Forehand, George and Janet Matthews,
there you go.
Kevin Purdy. Originally from New Jersey, and now I live in Palm Coast, Florida.
There you go. All right, I got to know. I didn't know you were from Jersey. How did you get from Jersey to Florida?
Well, I went in the military. I was in the Army for 3 years.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
91?
89 to 92.
Okay. So you were, was that Freedom?
That was the original Gulf War.
Okay.
So I forget what they called it.
Okay.
Desert Storm.
There you go.
Desert Storm was in 89.
Yeah. So, and then after I got out of the military, got married, moved to California. We had a little bit of an earthquake that I didn't like, so we moved back to...
They never have those out there.
Yeah, well, that wasn't fun. So got shaken out of my bed at 4:30 in the morning and decided to move back to New Jersey. Got a divorce, decided to move to Florida because that's where my parents were, and 20 years later, I'm still there. So.
There you go. Right on. Okay, so we're here. We're going to talk about symmetry stuff today. So let's start with Miss Theresa. So when you first got here, you came from the corporate world, right? Yes. And there was I think we had some conversation and some communication about not that you were running away from it, but you were looking for something different. So tell me about that.
So I worked for 20 years with corporate America, very quickly moved up through the company. The last few years that I was there, they started going through some transformations and some changes, some mergers, acquisitions. Couple years before I left, they had a massive merger. My position at that point got restructured, and then COVID hit in 2020, and that new restructured position got eliminated. So I had basically dedicated 20 years of my life to a company and traded a lot of my time and energy building someone else's dream. I had a lot of time of reflection, but I knew that there was no way I was going to ever do that again. And really at that point, I mean, I knew I wanted to own my own business. I knew I wanted to grow something. I didn't know what it was I wanted to do. And I came across, before I came across the ad for Symmetry, I actually was looking at franchising. And the franchise model was perfect because it was a blueprint. It was like you buy into it, you pay a fee, and it was, here you go. This is exactly how you do it. The problem with it was it was going to cost me my entire retirement that I had saved up. $150,000 in a franchise. Quite frankly, there wasn't really anything appealing, right? I looked at retail shops, cookie businesses, pest control. I mean, none of it was appealing. And then I came across an ad for Symmetry, and it was business ownership. It was at your own pace, and it just started to check the boxes. So I interviewed with Jamie Satterfield for it. It was very intriguing, and there was a lot in there that was a little bit kind of like more than I could believe, right? Like it was like, this is almost too good to be true. So I did a second interview with Donna. I think we probably got 20 minutes into that, and I'm like, all right, what's next? Like, sign me up. Like, let's do this. So that's how I got started and found Symmetry. It was something where, I figured I couldn't lose. I could either, cash in my retirement, buy a franchise that I wasn't overly in love with. The thought of owning it and having somebody teach me how to do it was great, but spending 3 years of my time to the point of maybe I might make a return in 3 years, going back to 70 hours a week, I figured, what the heck, let's try something new. So insurance was not ever on my radar.
Never, right?
Never
I
on my
think
radar.
anybody here thinks of that.
So that's how I started.
All right, so I'm going to break the fourth wall for just a second. So something she just said is real important, folks. She said she thought it was too good to be true. We've all thought that. Everyone that's been here has thought it was too good to be true. And I spent 4 months trying to figure out where it was not true. It's true. Just accept it, come in, keep an open mind, and you'll be fine. Sorry. Let's back to this. All right. So great. Too good to be true, right? We've all thought that. Let me ask you this. Have you ever interviewed somebody who says this sounds too good to be true?
Truthfully, I don't think anybody ever comes out and really says that.
Yeah, but you get the feeling, right?
You know the feeling, and then you tell the story. Like, that was the same thing. I felt the same way. I kept waiting, not quite as dramatic as you, Scott, in your story of literally trying to break it. But
oh, yeah.
I didn't believe it. I had to go associate. I had to be around the people that I saw in these videos and telling these stories that all sounded the same. And I'm like, this is just, it's not real. Like, there's something else there. And it took that association, that first meeting, like, okay, I'm in, like, and I haven't looked back.
Right. So you left a job because you were looking for franchises, and then didn't find the franchises that you wanted, didn't see that the business model was where you wanted it to be, and then you found Symmetry.
Yeah, so I didn't intentionally leave the job, and that's the wonderful thing about this.
Right.
I think the universe actually did it for me, right? I knew that I was asking for something more, and it forced me because I made a very nice salary, right? And coming here and starting out was, sales was not my background, and I didn't really ever want to be in sales or do sales. And so when I came into insurance, I'm like, this is sales. And I absolutely did not want to build. That'll come down the line. And so I didn't know if I could do it, right? Like, and then I did it, and I was like, it's really not that hard. You work hard.
What's the hardest thing we do? Pick up the phone, right?
You stopped her.
The hardest thing we do is pick up the phone.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest.
Right.
Especially at the beginning, right? Like, it gets easier.
So you were, I'm going to stick with Theresa for just another minute. You were very focused when you first got it started, and you really were a sponge. And you paid close attention to the metrics, because I remember seeing the goal sheets that you would send over, and I'm going to do this, and this many dials is going to yield this many appointments. And you did the math, which is great, right? Here's an example of what I'm talking about. In your first year here, you did $21,313, and that was a short period of time. That was $21,000, right? How many applications do you think you wrote?
That 21,000 was 3 months. I probably wrote 15.
21.
Yeah.
That's perfect distribution, because the average application here is about $1,000, right? So you wrote 21 apps, did 21,000. It could not have been more textbook perfect. And that, Theresa, just publicly, that is you here, what I see you do. Your textbook, it's perfect. You follow the system, you execute. It's awesome. So I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
So let me switch gears now. Mr. Bill.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sackmann, so you've seen what's been happening with Theresa, and obviously in the beginning stages, I think you may have been a little bit more on the sidelines, and then you came into the business and started working alongside her. And that's something that we talk about. You see a lot of successful people here at Symmetry, and there's something that you see a lot in common is you'll see successful couples, right? So where Theresa was a fairly prolific, and still is, producer on her own, but now you're in the business too, and you've seen her grow. Let's stay with that thought for a second. Talking about what you've seen, if you've seen any changes in her.
She's very focused on everything she does. But, as far as this, she started it out and, wanted to get her feet wet a little bit and see how it's going to work and whatnot. Because it definitely was a little
the
bit.
wait and see, the let's test it, right? Everybody goes through that. Everybody.
So back to the too good to be true type of thing, right? And, she spent some time with our son and, got some stuff done. And, everything was going pretty well. And she's like, this is going to work. And then she really started going at it. And she puts in 100% every day that she does it. So it's very important to her that she owns up to her goals and that she meets her goals. And she always is spot on with that. So.
All right. So I want to make another observation, and I'm not going to put your child's name out for public consumption. But what I do know is that one of the things that I've seen with you, because I've seen the pictures and I've seen the images that come over, there's a regular, for lack of a better term, date that happens with your child where you go out and watch the sunrise and get a donut, and that happens consistently. Was that happening before Symmetry, or did that freedom happen with Symmetry?
No, in fact, the position I was in before, I was 24/7. I worked all the time. Even if I left the office, I was still on call. If things happened in the middle of the night, trucks broke down, I had to coordinate. I had to be there. And so I wasn't present. Like, I was never really present. And so that was one of the things that was amazing. Like, if I need to take time to go to a football game or a baseball game or practice or whatever it is, I work it around my schedule. So that's something amazing. And yes, we do a Friday morning mother-daughter day at the beach. We have breakfast. We walk the beach. We talk about stuff in school. And no, that wasn't there. In fact, where I came from, it got to the point where my previous employer, almost, it was not a good thing, You've changed, you don't spend enough time at work. And it's like, how much more time can I spend? I'm in the office at 7, I'm out at 7, I work when I get home, I work on the weekends. And so it's a massive shift of amount of time that I get to spend with the family.
Okay. So now it's time for some truth. Which that was definitely truthful, but now let's talk to you for a second. Okay. So there are people that you've seen here, that have come through, that you've interviewed, and there are people that you recognize when you interview them that there's something special about them. And we've had this conversation about Miss Theresa.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about what your initial thoughts about Theresa were and what you've seen as far as her growth is concerned.
Well,
this is the Theresa show today.
Actually, Teresa's not supposed to be a podcast about me.
So there are certain people that you have a conversation with, and Jamie used to ask me all the time, "How do you know they're going to work out? What was it?" And it's not something I can necessarily put my finger on. It's a gut instinct, and my instincts or intuition, if you will, are usually spot on. But when it comes to recruiting, the thing that I look for is people that I can have a conversation with. I can hold a conversation. I can ask questions. It's two-way street, not just, single word answers. And those people that can carry on a conversation with you and you find personable are the ones that your customers are going to find personable as well. So, when I'm interviewing Theresa and she's like, well, I don't have any sales background. Well, hey, that's fine. We're not salespeople. We're consultants and educators. We approach this different than sales. And, I held a very misconstrued notion of what an insurance salesperson is, because technically that's what we are. And I put them in the same box with used car salespeople, to be truthful.
Yeah.
So it's not, they're honestly, you guys said this before, I never knew anyone growing up who said they wanted to be an insurance salesperson. I hadn't either until this week. For the first time, I've been doing this for thousands of interviews, but the person that I spoke to said his parents owned an insurance company and he saw what it did for them and he wanted the same thing. They had since sold the company and so he was just getting into it. But so what? One in 1,000 people might say that they want to do that growing up. But Theresa was driven, and I knew she had goals and she had a big why. And and we just hit it off. So I had a lot of faith in her. And over the last couple of years, she has shown herself to be a formidable force. And one of the things that I admire is the way you do your goals and the way you write them out and you share them, and you have other people hold you accountable. And I don't know what the percentage is, but you hit your goals almost every darn time. So that's respectable. And yeah, you're just doing it. You're doing everything.
So while we're there, let's talk about that. 21 for 21, right? Your first year, 21,000, 21 apps, right? Year 2, at some point during year 2 here, not year 2, but your second year here, second calendar year here, you made the decision to start building. What was the decision that drove you to that, to start building an agency? Because I know when you first came here, you just wanted to be a producer.
I can't really pinpoint it to an exact moment. I wish I could, right? Like
I can.
Can you?
I think.
Okay. What do you think?
You go first.
Okay. So no, it's I came from management, right?
Okay.
I came from management and I didn't want to do that anymore. I just wanted to be me. I just wanted to do things on my own. And you hear it over and over, and everybody says if they could do anything different, and I mean everybody, is start building early, right? I didn't want that. But what happened was people started reaching out to me, and I felt like I was doing it anyway. And it's not managing, it's leading. And then I was like, I have to learn, and I'm still learning how to lead properly, right? I can manage very well.
Right.
I cannot lead very well. So it's a constant growth. And that's one of the other attractions that I have is I want to grow. And that was what I've always said is like, if I could be anything, I want to be a student for life. And then it was like, you can be a student for life. Make that your decision. So that's kind of where, but the decision to do it was, yes, I heard everybody say to do it. I didn't want to manage. I didn't want to be responsible for other people. But when people started reaching out to me and I felt like I was doing it anyway, it was, okay, let's grow. Let's really step into that uncomfortableness and grow.
Okay. So I want to reiterate the 2 nuggets that you just dropped, which were massive, right? The first one is don't manage, lead. Critical, right? If you're a manager here, you're in the wrong place. That's not what we do. And the second nugget is start building now, right? That's the number one thing that I hear when I talk to other people from other agencies all over Symmetry. The one thing everybody regrets. The number one thing they regret is that they didn't start building early enough. All right. So now let's put things in perspective. Theresa Sackmann by herself, 21 apps, 21,000, right? Theresa Sackmann with a team. There's something to be learned from this. With a team, 336 apps, 285,000. Of that 285, you did 263. Okay? So when you become a leader and when you become an agency owner, you lose the opportunity or the ability or the authority, really, to do things in a mediocre way. Not that 21 for 21 is mediocre. It's not. It's perfect distribution. Okay? But when you start to become an agency owner, you do have to lead from the front. And you did that beautifully. And
yeah, but I've got great mentors, right? And this is about mentorship and learning. And my mentor, Jamie Satterfield, leads from the front, right?
Phenomenal. Yeah.
And it's chasing him and watching you and what you do, and it's chasing you and the other leaders on the team. But it is that mentorship part, right? So you hear that over and over. You got to lead from the front, and when as a leader, I fall back, I see my whole team fall back, right? And I see it, with you and Jamie, right? Like when there's a fallback a little bit, the rest of the team falls back. So it's very important.
People do what you do, right? Yeah. So let's finish out that math. And here we go. 2022. 620 applications. 518,000 as a team. And your personal production actually went up. Phenomenal. Just great job. So that didn't happen by chance, though, did it? You were very intentional with your schedule, very intentional with your time, blocking out your calendar, making sure you're using the right activities at the right times of the day and the right days of the week, making sure you're planning it ahead. You're not going to one thing I know about you is that you don't wait and see what's going to happen. You're very you make it happen. And that's consistently here for people that are at the upper echelon of production, that's what you see. You see that people don't let things happen. They make things happen. And that is you to a T. Right? So now let's go back to Mr. Bill for a second. So Bill, we talked earlier about what growth you've seen from Theresa and let's talk about your role for a second. So as a husband and wife team, there are some couples that are out there that are both producers. There are some couples that split duties. So my understanding of the way you guys have your relationship set up within this business is you have split duties, right? So let's talk about you for a second. So the things that you do, just like for me, Donna does what she does to allow me to do what I do, okay? So my production is as much a result of her activity as it is of my activity. Okay, so let's talk about you. What are some of the things that you do to support your team, or just giving some people that are out there that have husband and wife teams some ideas about the way that they could separate out the duties?
Right. What I do is normally just take care of all the admin type of stuff that needs to be done on the back end. Starting out with really was doing. Making sure licensing is all straight and renewing licenses when they're due.
Sure.
But before they're due. So
that's the idea, right?
So we get paid or she gets paid.
I don't have a California license anymore. I guess I got to rewrite those apps, right?
So it's just making sure that all that stuff's done. I also take care of the accounting part of it, or keeping track of the money's going in and the money's coming out.
So how important is that? You're running a business like a business. If you don't know where your numbers are, then you don't have a business, right?
Exactly.
So that's one of the most critical things people can do. And Donna does the same thing for us.
Right.
So I can do numbers, but if I had to do that and the other stuff that I do, there's no way.
Right. So, you got to keep track of that. Just to see what's happening. We've come across things. It's like, what happened there?
Sure.
If we weren't watching it, or she had to spend more time doing that, then she would be sidetracked from doing the production or anything like that. So then I branched into doing more of the recruiting side as well.
Okay.
We do, or she's now allowing me to do the first interviews for our agency, which has really helped out because we know each other pretty well. I know the kind of people that she really wants on our team.
Right.
We want people that want to be business partners with us.
Right.
So we're not going to just have anybody come along. We want somebody that wants to grow.
Right.
Which, since we're both on the same page with that, makes it a lot easier to do a first interview and say, hey, this person's will be really good. I think you'll like this person. I think we've had one over the last year or so that didn't quite work out as far as the interview, but those kind of things happen. But overall, though, it just makes it so much smoother to be able to have that conversation with people, knowing that, okay, this person would fit or this person would not. So it's really helped us a lot.
So let me ask you this. So you guys have had some phenomenal success since you've been here. It hasn't been that long, okay? So how has your life changed with Symmetry? What has it done? If you could point to one or a couple of things, what would you say? Obviously, we talked about the relationship with the child is there's more time, that's what this is about. But what else has happened for you guys?
Well, it's enabled me to retire from my job.
Woohoo!
So they say, right? But doing this is so much better. We're growing something. We may work a lot, but it enables us to take care of our son. When she's working at night, I can take him to football practice or whatever needs to be done as far as his schedule. He's got karate, he's got this and that. As far as the work side, it's just, it enables us more time to do things that we would like to do, and we just plan it out, accordingly. Obviously there's certain times where work has to be done, but when we're able to, come down here to Miami a day early to go to a baseball game, not something you could normally do. So,
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
It's a great picture, you guys. Right
yeah,
on.
it's a lot of fun. So
Yep. Very cool. Okay, Miss Donna, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we came here, there was a reason why we got started. There's a reason why we came, and there's a reason why we're still here. So tell me what you think for you those reasons are.
Well, it was time to move on from our last business, and that was harshly apparent. And we needed to make a change. And our work history has always been in entrepreneurship, real estate and business owning and restaurant and this and that. And we weren't ready to go work for somebody else at that point. So we wanted to own our own business. We needed mentorship because we didn't come from the insurance industry. And we wanted a good culture, and Symmetry checked off all those boxes. And like I tell people, and it's not a joke, 100 other boxes that we didn't even know we wanted or needed. And now there's no going back. Like, there's so much positive that has come into our life from Symmetry and the people that we get to work with. I can't imagine being anywhere else.
Right on.
So,
All right. So last couple of questions are going to be for you and me, Theresa. All right. So we have an incredible array of carriers here, an incredible array of products here. Is there something that you really, really enjoy helping families get a hold of? Is there something you really, really do? Do you have a niche that you like to be in, a specific arena, or do you like it all, or what do you got to say about that?
So when I started, right, it's basic life insurance. It's helping people protect their family if they pass, mortgage protection. But I am really passionate about retirement.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I am trying to help educate the younger generation. Like, my goal eventually will be an education system that it's really teaching people how to prepare themselves for retirement. It is disheartening, all the people I sit with that are in their 50s and 60s, and they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing, right? So in $100,000 life insurance policy that's, not even going to pay off of a mortgage or get their family to the next level, and you talk to them about what's set up for retirement, and there's just nothing there. So it's important for me to help people understand the importance of setting themselves financially, so they're not in a position where I see half the people that I sit with. So for me, that's my favorite right now. It's IULs, debt-free life.
Love
right?
IULs.
I love IULs.
Yep.
Probably to a detriment sometime how much I love IULs, because I feel like it's something very important for everybody, especially if they can qualify and they've got all the living benefits and all, It's like a holistic approach to protection, right? You've got your life insurance, you got your cash value for emergencies, you've got your retirement if you can fund it and build it the right way. And so, that for me is my passionate piece.
So IULs.
Yeah.
All right. So we're not going to get carrier specific here, so we don't want to go that route. But the one that you just mentioned, I think I know the one you're talking about, and it's got living benefits, and it's got a great index, and it's relatively easy to qualify for. I agree with you. All right. So for me, it's along the same lines. I like IULs, but I tend to work with older clients. So for me, the IULs are not always the best choice for an older client. And really, I'm looking at the par whole life and the single premium whole life, dollar duplication strategies, those kinds of things. So I like, again, the finance side, the retirement side, and that's for me. All right. So we're just about done. So any nugget that you'd like to drop for anybody who's looking to get into this business, Mr. Bill?
just always be there for your spouse.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a good one for life in general, not just.
Great answer.
I mean, the one great thing with working together on this is that, we kind of keep each other in line. All right.
There you go.
So it may be, me keeping the house in line, on the backside, or me telling her to, whatever. Not that I can tell her how to do her job, but I mean, just kind of, reminding her of certain things and whatnot. So it's kind of an accountability for both of us. And I think that's what really helps.
Right on. How about you, Miss Theresa?
There is so much that this business can bring, right? You have to figure out what it is you want. Do you want work-life integration, right? There's no such thing as balance. But do you want, like, I don't wake up on Monday mornings, and I haven't since I've been here, dreading a Monday morning.
Right.
And that was my life for 20 years.
Right.
It was. So figure out what you want. Do you want financial freedom? Do you want to have control over your time? Do you work hard? Because it's hard work, right? It's simple, but it's hard work. Do you like teamwork? Right? Do you want to continuously grow yourself to be a better version of you? And if that checks your boxes, this is the place.
Right on. All right.
Yeah.
Donna Marie, take us home.
I think if you're looking at this business, and especially for husband and wife teams, or brother and sister, or husband and husband, wife and wife, whatever, I think it's important that you work within your strengths and you identify them. And, it's important to be on the same page, but it's also important to have your separate roles to support each other. And, like Bill was saying, you can anticipate the needs of your spouse. On days that Scott has, 10 appointments, and I know that he's working back to back and he's not going to have time to eat, I'm rolling out a charcuterie board for him. So,
Yeah.
But, that's about it.
And for what it's worth, I appreciate the charcuterie.
I know you do. It's your favorite thing.
All right. Thanks. All right.